Hello again, and thanks for checking in to view my third self-help tool. Today I'm focusing on stress and control and the things I can do. As I talked about in my previous self-help tool, our brains are struggling to deal with the huge uncertainty we're all experiencing. So we're feeling lots of fear, and we're experiencing loss of different sorts, and so feeling grief. This repeated cycle of uncertainty, fear, loss, and grief can cause stress in our body and brain, and for many of us this causes us to feel either anxious and out of control or depressed and as if there's no point. So in this self-help tool I want to share a couple of useful ways we can use our thinking to help us feel calm, in balance and able to cope more easily. As before, I'm going to switch the camera off so I'm not blocking any of the information on the slides, and I'll switch it on again at the end. First way we can use our thinking is the stress bucket idea. So imagine having a bucket that collects and contains all your stress. This is something we all have. The size of our bucket varies, and so for someone who is perhaps more vulnerable to the effects of excess stress, they may have a smaller bucket. The stress layers that flow into our bucket are often those normal daily life events, but can also include other sources of stress, including environmental stress. So right now, coronavirus is creating a whole range of new stressors for all of us alongside the normal ones, such as anxiety, lack of sleep, health worries, etc. So life fills our stress buckets, and in order to stop our stress bucket getting too full and spilling over, we need a coping tap or self-help strategies that enable us to reduce our layers of stress to a manageable level so that they never spill over and out of our bucket. And there are lots of different ways we can help ourselves reduce our stress. I have shared some in my previous self-help videos, such as 3-5 breathing and the self-soothing activities. And Rachel from Wirral Mind shared lots more in her 5 Ways to Wellbeing videos. So when we have coping strategies, even 1 or 2, we have a coping tap that works and helps us reduce our stress levels. But without any coping strategies, it's as if we have no coping tap, and so our stress can eventually overwhelm us. So what can be really helpful in relation to our stress bucket is to take some time to think about how do we know when our bucket is nearly filled up. So what are your particular signs or signals that tell you when your stress bucket is full? And what things might you do to grow your stress bucket and make it bigger so that you can manage more stress without being overwhelmed? The second way we can use our thinking to help us stay feeling calm and able to cope more easily is something called the rock and the Play-Doh, which can help us reflect on control, what we are able to control and what we are unable to control. And having a sense of control is really important for all of us, because when we feel we are in control, we feel safer. And when we feel safer, we feel calmer and more able to cope. So start by imagining that you are holding a large rock in your hand. And imagine trying to squeeze it as hard as you can, trying to bend it, trying to roll it between your hands. Are you able to change the rock? Now imagine you have a ball of Play-Doh in your hand, and imagine squeezing that as hard as you can and bending it and rolling it between your hands. Are you able to change the Play-Doh? So whenever the current uncertainty leaves you feeling worried, anxious or scared, perhaps think of the rock and the Play-Doh. The rock is hard and can't be changed. You can't control the shape it takes. The Play-Doh, however, can be changed and you can control the shape it takes. So what are the rocks and Play-Dohs for you at this time? This slide shows some examples of the things we can't control, the rocks. What other people say and do, whether schools stay shut or open, the news, sickness, work assigned to us if we're working, what our doctor might recommend, limited access to shops and restaurants, only being able to travel for essential purposes, and how long all of this will last. And this slide shows some examples of the things we can control, the Play-Dohs. So what I say and what I do, creating a routine for myself, the way I treat others, my own attitude, whether I choose a positive one. I can ask for help, I can social distance or stay home. I can choose how well I do my work and how much TV and social media I watch. What I appreciate and am grateful for. I can not judge or criticize myself for what I'm feeling when I'm feeling low. I can be kind to myself. I can get fresh air and move my body, which moves my stuck energy around. But despite everything, you do have some control. I really like these two metaphors of the rock and the Play-Doh. I read about them for the first time only recently, and they help me to see more easily the difference between what I can and can't control. And they remind me that despite everything happening, actually I have control over what I feel and think and do. And the more I do things that support myself, the more I strengthen those connections in my brain and the easier those activities become. The repetition really makes a difference. It may be helpful here to remember that the more we work Play-Doh, the warmer it gets and the easier it is to reshape it. And also, if you think of babies learning to walk, they fall over again and again and again and again, but they keep persisting until eventually they can walk. All that repetition has finally strengthened the connections in their brain enough so that everything works in the way that it should for them to walk. And this process for learning never changes as we get older. The more we do something, the easier it gets, until we can do it without having to think about it. So I'd like to encourage you to take a deep breath and focus on your Play-Dohs and let go the rocks in your life. The more you keep your Play-Dohs in mind and practice them, the easier it will become to stay feeling calm, in balance, and able to cope more easily. And before I finish, I just want to say thanks to Crystal Deterding and Liz Morrison for the rock and Play-Doh idea and how they've used it. I hope this self-help tool is helpful. Keep taking care of yourself, and thanks for watching.